Hey guys, how we doing? My name's Jay. Thought I'd make a quick video about this truck. I get a ton of DMs and messages from a bunch of members of different groups asking about this truck. A lot of people don't even know that this GT package exists. I have buddies that are Ram fanatics that have owned Rams forever that never even knew this GT package was an option. You get the same 5.7 that any of these other Hemi trucks get, but you get a Mopar cold air factory option, and then you get a Mopar exhaust. The cool thing about these, other than some aesthetic stuff, the GT badging and whatnot, is on the interior you get a console shift, which I've modified with I think it's a White Madness Garage. It's actually meant for a Challenger. I had to modify the stock shifter stick a little bit. You have to drill a hole and make sure everything lines up. But I got it to work. You just push down, foot on the brake, and you can get out of park and reverse lockouts. So you can shift the truck with the stick in the middle, or this truck has factory paddles. And what's neat about this truck is it's not just a gear limiter like the typical 1500s. This is actually able to command shifts, hold gears, which makes the driving experience pretty fun. Interior of this truck, GT package comes with the GT seats, just black leather in the back. Got my kids' seats back there. Panoramic roof, the 12-inch screen, nice leather seats and whatnot. Nice steering wheel. Pretty nice interior. I added amp research power steps, factory wheels with a 2-inch spacer all around, so they're just barely poking. If you can see, just barely poking. Looks spot on. The tires kind of make the wheel, in my opinion. Toyo Proxy STs. The truck has modified exhaust, so it's stock exhaust manifolds. It has stock cats into a single 3-inch that goes to a Valvetronic Designs 3-inch valved muffler. The muffler then splits into the factory duals with a resonator delete at the rear out of MBRP 5-inch tips. If you can see there. It was a B2 Fab, just resonator kit, and then I like the look of the MBRP tips, so I went with MBRP. I added the tailgate badge, just factory. It says Laramie. This is a 1500 Laramie with the GT package, but just kind of shows from the back that it's not your standard 1500. The exhaust sounds mint. Like I said, it's a 3-inch to a 3-inch. Valvetronic Designs valve muffler, which is in essence a straight pipe or a baffled resonated muffler at the push of a button. It runs off a vacuum actuator that I mounted in the cab, wired in, and I actually have it running off of the home link buttons in the driver's sun visor. So push one button, it opens up the muffler, push another button, and it closes it. Wasn't as loud as I thought it was going to be, as I wanted it to be. With it closed, it's almost stock. It's quiet. It sounds good still. It's got a good tone to it, but it's not loud at all. So I can put my wife in the car. I can put my 2-year-old, my 5-year-old in the car, like cruise around. Although I think the kids like it when it's louder. But no big deal. Leaving early in the morning, leaving late at night. Close up the muffler, and I can kind of stealth mode out of the house, out of the garage. But it wasn't as loud as I wanted it to be with it open. So I do have plans to do a full true dual 3-inch with an H pipe, get rid of the single, and I will be running a dual Valvetronic Designs 3-inch muffler setup, because they do sound awesome, both open and closed. They give an awesome tone. There's no drone, basically no drone at all. And then to get a little louder, I put a Granatelli 3-inch exhaust cutout or dump valve, whatever you want to call it, running off a vacuum actuator right before the muffler. So in essence, I have 3 levels of exhaust sound that I can run. One's basically stock sounding with everything closed, running through the muffler. It sounds almost stock with a little more aggressive tone. 2 would be just the muffler open, the exhaust valve shut. You get a nice aggressive roar out of the muffler. Still runs out of the back of the truck. And then the third option is open everything. So the muffler would be open and the exhaust cutout dump valve would be open. And that's where you get, your loud, straight pipe sound and exhaust. This truck's also tuned. I had this truck tuned by KillTECH Performance in Connecticut. Dyno tune, did a few runs. Everything was data logged, wideband O2'd. Got some good performance out of it. It's not a race truck. It's a 5.7 Hemi. But made decent power, was able to get a little bit more low end power. And it was actually surprising with the exhaust dump open, it made an extra 40 horse than it did running through the whole exhaust. So, free flow and says something. I asked him to put some burbles. The tuner literally made one of those gunshot tunes. So you let off the gas and the thing sounds like a machine gun going off non-stop. So I have HP tuners myself, so I kind of jumped on my laptop with HP tuners, read the tune that my tuner did, so I didn't lose any of the performance stuff, but I've been playing with a lot of the Diffco settings and the spark tables, and I've got this thing so it does a nice burble when you let off the gas, and a couple pops and cracks here and there. I have like different levels of tunes that I've written so far. I have, just subtle, couple little burbles and pops for a short duration, or I have long-term burbles and pops and crackles, or I have that, full pops and bangs tune. So all easily switchable with my laptop. Just plug in the MPVI 3 into the OBD2 port, and the tunes can be flashed in. It only takes about 30 seconds. So kind of cool, kind of option. I change up the tune, every week. I feel like I put a different one in, make it more aggressive, a little more subtle, and it's just kind of fun to play with. But anyway, just an overview of the truck. I'll get into the exhaust options now. So the truck's gonna start. I have the muffler opened, which is how I typically run it if I'm just daily driving. Muffler open, exhaust cutout closed, and then I'll close the muffler. I'll give it some revs with the muffler open. I'll close the muffler, give it some revs, and then I'll open the exhaust cutout and let you hear the 3 different levels of the exhaust. Sounds pretty good in my opinion. This is muffler open, exhaust cutout closed. This is a warm idle. I do have the idle turned up slightly in my tune with HP tuners just to get a little bit more idle sound, because when it would drop down to the factory idle level, it would get pretty quiet still. I like a nice gurgly idle, which I achieved here. I think this is about a 700 or 750 RPM idle I have in it. Stock cam, stock lifters, everything, stock motor. Sounds pretty good though. Again, this is a Valvetronic Designs 3-inch muffler open, resonator delete in the back, 5-inch tips. Let me give it some revs, and then I'm gonna stay in the truck. I'll close the muffler, give it some more revs, and I'm gonna open the exhaust valve, give it some more revs. Alright, so that was revs with the muffler open. This is now muffler's closed, as you can hear. Dramatically quieter. Much quieter. Still has a good tone to it. I'll give it some revs, you can hear the difference. And after I give it some revs, I'll open the muffler and you can hear the difference as I open and close it a few times. Alright, so that was a comparison of opened versus closed of the valve muffler. Last option that I have, let me actually open the muffler, because if I'm opening the exhaust valve, I usually open the muffler too. It's not all gas goes out of. Not all of the gases go. And again, I just have it to the home link button. One opens, three closes. Not all of the exhaust flow goes out of the exhaust dump. Some of it still will run through the mufflers, and I'll rev it and kind of show that. But exhaust dump I have right before the muffler. Let's see if I can get it. Right there. Yeah, let me see if I can open it. There it is, open. There it is, closed. Open. Closed. Open. And what's nice about it is some of the sound still comes through the tailpipes even with the cutout open, so it doesn't just sound like all the sounds coming from the middle of the truck. You can still hear a good amount of sound coming out of the tailpipes. So it's like literally best possible option. It's open right now, closed, open. All right, let me give it some revs with the dump open.